Welcome to the third in a series of demonstrations showcasing the features of the DocuWare Kinetic Solution for employee management. Today's demonstration will look at the provisioning and onboarding process. Now that the employee has their start date,
we need to make sure he's provisioned with everything he needs to be effective at his job the first day. So one of the things that we've done automatically now, since Elizabeth Cash had requested this position be filled, is automatically requested she submit a provisioning document. So she has a link here that takes her to what's called a provisioning form. And this is another DocuWare form that allows her to determine which departments need to take action in order to make Joe productive on his first day. So we'll go ahead and start by filling out a little bit of this information. So Joe Candidate is joining the company in the finance department. His DocuWare user ID will be joe.candidate. His start date will be 9/2. Now here's where we get to select which department heads actually need to do something. Now me as the finance manager, I don't need to do anything for my employee. The HR manager might need to do something, or the sales manager. And this document would be populated with check boxes available for every department that may need to do something. So just to follow the process, I'm going to open up the HR. And we'll see that the document automatically expands for the HR. Had I selected finance, it would have added a finance, in this case an IT section, or a sales section. So these different boxes would correspond to positions or departments within the organization that would need to take some kind of action in order to provision this employee. So we're just going to say at this point that only the standard options would apply for this particular employee. If there was something special, we could expand out an area that would say, let's say he needs special equipment or special clothing or something to do in order to do his job. This would populate here, and we could make those additional selections. And I could make those additional selections here if they were required. But we're going to stick with only the standard options. The submitting manager is myself, in this case, Elizabeth Cash. And I'll go ahead and submit the provisioning request. And then indicate here that I've confirmed that I've submitted the request. Now, the only department that had to do anything in my particular request was HR. So HR will get a task, and as I said, as many departments as were checked, the department heads would all get a task saying that they needed to open this provisioning checklist, perform the tasks associated with them in their department, and then ultimately confirm when the setup is complete in order to close the task. And that would be a parallel task. So if 5 different department heads were involved, the task would not ultimately be closed until all 5 tasks were completed. So Elizabeth gets a confirmation that all of the people involved have confirmed they're completed. She can look it over one more time and determine, yes, indeed, this provisioning request is completed. Now that the provisioning process is complete, there's still one aspect left to the onboarding process that we should talk about. Let's go back and take a look at, remember I gave the candidate Simon Stone's email address in order to be able to show the emails that he would be receiving. So here's a list of the emails that transpired to the candidate during the process. So we'll go ahead and open the first one up, and we see here that this is where the application has been brought in, and the email came to Simon Stone. This is the email that went to the candidate indicating that he's begun the review process, and we'll let him know if we're going to be taking any further steps. Here's where we've to set up a phone interview with Elizabeth Cash. Here's where we set up the discussion with Peggy Jenkins. Here's where we congratulated him that he got the job and that he would be getting an offer letter soon, and this email can obviously be customized to fit whatever corporate standards there are. But this is the interesting one. This is the one where we can now say, we've received your fully executed offer letter and we're ready to begin the onboarding process, so that when you come in that first day, not only would the provisioning process be completed, but he also has the ability to open up this link, which is a link that takes him to a DocuWare form, which will allow him to begin the onboarding process. So this is a new employee enrollment form. So he would fill this out. Let's just say Joe, candidate. Let's say his date of birth, his social security number, address, this is a drop-down list that'll be populated from a select list. Phone numbers are optional. Email address is not really required, but he can check these boxes, even lay his signature on here, and submit the document. Now, what is this going to do for us? What this is going to do is provide a process called a merge form. And what this DocuWare form does is takes the information that he's entered on this enrollment form. Now, this happens to be common information that would be on many different forms. And we'll see now that there's, if I go and search the employee files file cabinet, there are now 3 documents here: I-9, emergency contact, and W-4. And if I open one of these up, we'll see that it's now populated with the information he provided on that DocuWare form. So we've set up the process whereby when he comes in and begins his first day and has to go through the task of filling out all these forms, these documents are already pre-filled with the common information, so that he doesn't have to enter his name and his address and his social security number 8 or 10 times, depending upon the requirements of the corporation. So these documents will be pre-filled. All they need to do, if they require a wet signature, they can be printed, scanned, and signed, and then scanned back in order to replace the documents that are there, or just live in conjunction with them. So that is now the end of the, onboarding and provisioning process.
Look for our next feature, which will include requesting personal time off. Thank you.